Wherever you go, I want you back, I want you back. Hello everyone, Ryan here, and today I'm doing a review of the new Mura Masa album, which is self-titled. Mura Masa is an English DJ, electronic music producer who came about in about 2015 with a fairly interesting EP titled Someday Somewhere. This EP garnered him quite a bit of attention. In the UK, he managed to get some radio airplay, and quite a bit of buzz started surrounding him. And a few of the tracks from this album, Firefly and Lovesick, were also on that EP. Lovesick was re-recorded though with A$AP Rocky, and that elevated the track to great results because this new version is quite spectacular. I really love the production on this song, and A$AP Rocky melds together with this production so well. And I'm a fan of Neo, so her contribution on Firefly is also pretty excellent as well. I think that's one of the better tracks here. I really love the pop direction that this track went in. It could have easily fit on her album from last year as well. Bonsai features on a few of these tracks too. I think her contribution on Nuggets is slightly weaker than what she did on What If I Go. What If I Go is quite a familiar sounding song. I don't know where I know it from, but perhaps it was on an advert or something like that, but it totally sounds familiar to me and I just can't quite grasp where it's from, but I do like that track. It's got a really good hook. And then the Flume-esque drop on that song is quite lovely as well. Kind of reminds me a little bit of, some of the tracks from Flume's last album, like Never Be Like You. And the singer, I can't seem to wrap my head around whether I like her or not. Charli XCX makes a contribution on this album on the track One Night, and I'll be honest, I do like her on this track. I think this is a really great song. Just usually I'm not too sure if I enjoy her music or not. I just can't tell really. But with all these positives does come negatives, and the biggest negative I've got to say is the opening track. What happened here I do not know. This is like the worst possible song you could ever open your album with. Why this? This is just horrendous. The vocals on this track and the production is so weak. I just don't know what he was going for with this song. It's a huge mess, and I feel like anyone that isn't familiar with Mura Masa would go into this album starting with this track would probably turn it off instantly, because why would you carry on after that song? It's so bad. Luckily though, it is worth carrying on after that track. I mean, there are a handful of great songs I've already mentioned here, but there are many more that are really good as well. Like Helpline, which features vocals from Tom Tripp. This track has got a really good beat to it. It's kind of fast paced. It's it's got a skittery beat which I really like, and the chorus is pretty good too. The only thing about this track though is to me it just sounds like it could be like a mobile advert, or like a mobile phone sort of thing, like an advertisement for that. I don't know why, but it just sounds like that to me. And Second to None is pretty okay. I'm not the biggest fan of Christine and the Queens, but I appreciate the music for what it is. It's not really the highlight for me on this album. But I do want to mention, throughout the album, I'm really reminded of Sophie, the producer, the electronic producer Sophie. I feel like there's been influence from that side of music on this album, because it's just got that kind of weird element to it, especially on the tracks, like the intro track, which is a track I don't like at all, but then Charli XCX feature as well. I think there are some moments that have took inspiration from Sophie. And I've got to say, that's pretty cool to start hearing that in music, because Sophie is a very forward-thinking electronic producer, and to start seeing that side of music's influence, like pop music, is pretty cool to me. One surprise for me though was the closing track, Blue, which features vocals from Damon Albarn of all people. I wasn't expecting to hear him on this album, but the slow syrupy production does fit his kind of melancholic vocal style really well, and it does kind of sound like some of his solo material, like from the album Everyday Robots, so if anyone was into that then they'd probably enjoy this. And I've got to commend Mura Masa on the fact that this album features pretty much completely different guest vocals on every track, and yet it somehow doesn't sound like it's a compilation album, or it doesn't sound like it's a mess. The production really fits well, and it sounds consistent all the way through. But I must say, even the tracks that I do like aren't that anything special. I just don't feel like I'm going to be returning to most of this album in the near future, although there are a great number of songs. I'm going to grade this album a C. I don't think there's much too wrong going on this album. I think Mura Masa heads in a lot of good directions that work really well, and I'm going to be looking forward to whatever he releases in the future. Make sure you give this album a listen, it's worth your time, and also make sure you subscribe to the channel for more music reviews, and have a good day.